Supposed to be a weekend of celebration and inclusion, but has now raised the ire of a certain side of the political spectrum because of who the Boise Pride Festival is trying to include in its celebration. What started as a social media debate has now materialized into official statements from elected officials and event organizers, all dialing in on the Drag Kids on Stage show. Boise Pride Fest starts Friday downtown. The fact that even that happening doesn't sit well with several people, based on their online comments. But the uproar over the Drag Kids show is why Boise Mayor Lauren McLean felt inclined to tweet this yesterday. I'm proud to celebrate with our LGBTQ plus community at the Boise Pride Festival. I applaud the organizers who have planned a weekend full of positive, inclusive events for all ages. We must show our kids and teenagers that they have a home here, that we accept them, we welcome them, and support them for who they are.
Man, you guys think Idaho's so great? Not the Boise area. I'm telling you what, this is ridiculous.
As they are, to which Idaho GOP Chair Dorothy Moon responded with, Boise Mayor McLean campaigned as a moderate, but she has governed like her radical colleagues in Seattle and Portland. It's no wonder that she's now put Boise in the middle of a national firestorm over the sexualization of children. Okay, so national firestorm may be a bit of a stretch.
What a jackass, man. Some of these local reporters in their shows are just ridiculous. They're all liberal, if you can't tell.
Back and forth between the mayor and the party chair ended pretty much there. But Boise Pride had something else to say about it, specifically about Moon's concern about whether a drag show is appropriate for children, but also the accusation of sexualizing children. So this seems like a good time to bring in Andrew Bartline here. And how is Boise Pride Fest responding to all of this, being in the middle of this?
Well, they're very busy. First off, when I talked with them earlier today, it was hard to get a hold of them because the festival is in 2 days from now, but they are, of course, on top of it and doing everything they can. But we talked with the executive director and his direct response to Chair Moon. Boise Pride released a statement defending the Kids in Drag event. Pride further spoke in detail to us about part of the festival because they see it as important and necessary.
Listen closely what this wacko has to say. Listen very closely.
Yeah, this is my first year with the organization, so welcome to your first year.
We've heard people, the Idaho GOP, complaining about one of the events, I think Kids in Drag.
Yep.
I don't know what the official word is for it. Why is this event on the schedule in the first place?
Because it's a venue for these kids to do their performances where they know that they're in a safe environment and accepted. The only perversion and sexualization of this performance is coming from the extremists and people like Dorothy Moon, who are twisting it into something that it's not.
What kind of value does an event like this provide these kids?
Drag performances didn't emanate from a place of sexualization and being sexual. I mean, do you see that in adult drag performances nowadays? Yes, but you see that across all forms of artistic expression. I mean, every pop artist in the top 40 hits, that has some form of sexualization in their performances, and they don't bat an eyelash to that. So, I mean, this is not unique to drag. Drag was done from a sense of feeling comfortable in your skin and giving yourself a platform to express yourself and be, accepted and building your confidence. And that's what it does for the kids as well. Like when younger kids come out, a lot of them struggle with their identity and their self-acceptance and their self-expression. And dressing in costume and performing builds that confidence. It encourages their individuality, and ultimately it is empowering to them.
Do we know what those numbers are like, the number of kids or families who've signed up for this, or do they even sign up? Is it sort of a show-up thing? What does that look like?
This performance is not the first time these kids have done this. They've done this in other venues as well. How often and how many, I don't know. I'm trying to find that out. But when we found out that not only are the parents, all of the parents of these performers are not only supportive of them, but the youngest child that's performing at this, their mother is performing on stage with them.
Have you heard any response of sponsors being concerned? Like, has there been any backlash other than people who just directly oppose you complaining?
Not yet. I find it interesting that a lot of these conservatives in Idaho spout off all the time about my personal freedoms and let me live my life and stop dictating and telling me what to do or how to do it, until they see something like this that they don't like for whatever reason, and then they try to do the exact opposite and try to impact that in some way. It's like, if you don't like this, if you don't like the programming on your TV, change the channel. If you don't think you'll like this performance, then don't come.
Since our conversation with Williamson, at least one sponsor has publicly announced their withdrawal from participation at Boise Pride over this Kids in Drag event. That would be Zions Bank. We also got in touch with Idaho GOP Chair Dorothy Moon to get her thoughts further on children at drag or participating in drag shows. Chair Moon confirmed her statement this morning that it was directed at this Kids at Drag event. I asked her what exactly she finds inappropriate for children at drag events. She wrote to us, drag queens themselves have pointed out problems with drag entertainment for children, and she refers to a former drag queen, Katie Demore, hope I'm saying that right, and her experience where she says there are sexual things on stage. A drag queen performance is at a nightclub for adults, and goes on to say there are sexual stuff that happens backstage, a lot of nudity, sex, and drugs. Moon finishes by saying, okay, so I don't think this is an avenue that we would want our children to explore. Pride sort of indirectly responded to this statement by telling us there are various degrees of drag shows, Brian. There's a drag show that'll take place at 11 p.m. at night at a club with a cover charge.
Sure.
There's also a drag show that could happen at a brunchette at noon on a Sunday. Those
Right.
are two very different performances, they say.
And to be fair, you Google the name Katie Demure, and that's the first thing that comes up. So it's not like she had to look far and wide to find a quote that said that. But that quote is also talking about kids at these more 11 o'clock hour drag shows, being exposed to that as opposed to putting on their own drag show.
Yeah, I mean, it's different when the kids are up there
different.
performing, doing what they so choose to
As
do.
you said, varying degrees of that. All right, thank you very much.
If you're conservative and God-fearing, you got to pay attention to what's going on in your community. This is outrageous in my opinion, but it's gonna keep going on in different cities. So pull your head out of your ass, get involved in your local community, know what's going on, and stop this crap if you can.
Have you noticed that as everything around you seems to decline, one thing still grows? It is the power of your rulers. None of their plans and directives have solved your problems or made your life better. The only result has been their increased control over you at the cost of your freedom. Do you know why? You gave them the power.